All right, let's talk about the Georgia Bulldogs. This is a program that, especially after last week, and I think we all can agree, is heading their way into the college football playoff, making another run at a national title. Obviously, momentum, energy being built behind this program with some veterans proving themselves, but also some young guys are poised to make their name for themselves as well, some breakout stars. In fact, one in particular has certainly impressed Kirby Smart and the Bulldogs coaching staff. He looks ready to take on a huge role for this program down the stretch. Exciting news out of Athens. I'm Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, this Georgia Bulldogs team, after some early midseason struggles, it's clear to everyone who has half a brain they're one of the best teams in college football, and they, in all likelihood, will be heading to the college football playoff. And I think they got a serious chance of winning the whole darn thing. They are that good, especially when we look at their coaching staff and a lot of their veteran players. But this time of the year, due to some injuries and strategic shifts and things like that, the young guys and some kind of unheralded guys need to step up and make a name for themselves. And there's one guy that the Kirby Smart and Bulldogs coaching staff really believe is poised to have that kind of massive impact, a breakout star, if you will. Let's pull up this report courtesy of 24/7 Sports. Georgia cornerback Daniel Harris was seen as a big addition in Georgia's 2024 class, and convincing Harris to stay put that winter was just as big. Harris has played sporadically over the course of his sophomore season, but it appears that the light has come on for Harris toward the end of the year. Daniel has been playing a lot lately, Kirby Smart said on Tuesday. He's played significantly more in recent weeks because he's practiced better, and I thought his practice habits really began to change after Texas. During that off week, I thought he stepped it up and had really good practices. There's been multiple reports that Harris is poised to take on a big role in this Bulldog secondary for the stretch run. I think that's a great sign because he's obviously a very talented kid. And when you come down for these playoff games, it's sort of like the NFL, right? Going up against big offenses, you need depth at pass rusher and you need depth in the defensive backfield. And having Harris step up could give Georgia half of that equation. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. But first, Bulldogs fans, in the comment section below. Look, obviously at this point, there's been ups, there's been some downs, but give us one unheralded player so far on this Georgia Bulldogs team that has had a huge role and put this Georgia program where it is at this point in the season. You know, some guy that hasn't been in the news, but you think has done a great job. Special teams guy, offensive lineman, whatever it is, just a grinder that you think deserves some praise. Put that guy in the comment section below. But Myers, what are your thoughts on this latest news out of Georgia?
Yeah, Nick, I think this is going to be really big for Georgia going forward. Obviously, when Harris came in to replace Julio Humphrey in the win against Tennessee, I think he really started to do a lot of good things. His fellow players kind of talked about his impact on the game and how good he was. It mitigated the loss of a guy like Humphrey and really showed that he had been stepping up. But I think there's something deeper here, and it's just the master class of Kirby Smart, a guy that throughout the history of him being the coach at Georgia, everyone has accused him of not having a read on the locker room, not having control of the locker room, issues in and out. But this is a guy, Kirby Smart, who I think is doing a really good job managing all the personalities in the locker room. First of all, they're able to pull him away from Penn State in his initial commitment, which was a big move in itself. I think that's a big get for the Bulldogs. They're able to come in his freshman year. Didn't play a whole lot. He played a couple games. Didn't really get a whole lot of stats on the stat sheet. But I think the promise was there. They knew what they had in a player like Harris, and they were able to keep him on the roster. But coming into this season, there was that back and forth. The post, the comments about him saying, he makes the tweet saying, "I'm going to enter the transfer portal." Kirby Smart coming out saying, "Hey, listen, just because a guy says he's going to enter the transfer portal doesn't mean he's actually going to enter the transfer portal. We'll believe that when we see it." Turns out he doesn't enter the transfer portal. Puts up the funny movies like from Wolf of Wall Street saying, "I'm not leaving." So he stays at Georgia, stays through the first part of this season, and bides his time. Kirby Smart's able to manage it all the way to the third to last game of the season versus Tennessee, where he finally gets his start and gets to show his stuff. I think Kirby Smart has done an excellent job here, just managing the talent on this roster, getting the depth, showing them. This is a perfect example of why you have depth that is really good in the college football sphere. This is your opportunity. Someone goes down, you get the opportunity to step up big time at the end of the year, show your stuff, probably earn yourself a starting role going forward. I think this is just a really great job by Kirby Smart and this Georgia team to keep Harris in check, keep him in line to the end of the season where we finally see all the growth and development he's made in the last 2 years. And I think this is going to help them out greatly going into the college football playoff.
Oh yeah, and speaking about the college football playoff, look, I know it's a little early. We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. A lot of football left to be played, but if you look at the potential matchups, looking for Georgia, the way it sits right now, according to ESPN, again, their rough prediction bracket has them against Penn State in the first round. I think that's a win. Nothing against Penn State. I think Georgia's just a clearly better team. But then after that, in all likelihood, they either go to the University of Miami or Texas. Again, depending how it all shakes out, there's going to be a lot of things to have to deal with in terms of who wins what conferences. But regardless, you can look at this next round and say you're going to go up against a passing team. You're going against a team that wants to spread you out and throw the football all over the place. You look at Texas with Ewers, which of course you Georgia fans are very well aware of, and the Miami Hurricanes with Cam Ward, right? They can score a lot of points. Both those teams can, and both those teams love to throw the football. It goes back to my original point. To make a deep playoff run, you need depth. You need guys to step up in the defensive backfield. You're going to have to rely in these big games on your third, fourth, and maybe fifth defensive back to come up with big stops or a big interception. It's one of these weird things because about the playoff, it's always used to be, especially in National Football League or really when you have the 14 playoff for a number of years. In these close games, a lot of times we focus on the stars, and rightly so, but it's always those mid-tier guys that make a play on third down or don't make a play, a dumb penalty, key interception, whatever it is that can tilt a game. And right now, the Georgia Bulldogs, with a breakout guy like Daniel Harris, I think put themselves in a position to make that play, to get that stop, force that turnover in a key moment in the playoff run. And it's those kind of moments, those kind of plays that can make all the difference. We all know the stars come out. You need your stars to play well. If your stars play poorly, you don't stand a chance. But if your stars are in the game and everything's going according to plan, which I think for Georgia it will, Kirby Smart, great at preparing his guys for these kind of moments, it could come down to these role players, these young guys stepping up, and Daniel Harris's evolution into this role right here, I think puts him in a great position to make those kind of plays and force Georgia back into the college football national title game.